The night was unusually cold for September, and I was typing away at my computer, the glow of the screen casting long shadows across the room. Big project at the office, I had told Mia, my voice a mixture of fatigue and a hint of something I hoped she couldn't detect. Lately, those late nights had become more frequent, a necessary evil in the world of IT. Or so I made it seem. Mia had been understanding, almost too understanding. That should have been my first clue. It wasn't until she found the hotel receipt, a slip of paper that felt like a brick thrown through the window of our lives, that things began to unravel. This was from last Thursday, she said, her voice steady, the receipt in her hand shaking just slightly. You said you were working late. I was. It was for a client meeting, I lied, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. I could see the doubt creeping into her eyes, a storm brewing in the calm. But a hotel, Alex? Her question was a dagger, and I had no armor. I scrambled for an explanation, any lifeline that would pull us back from the edge we were teetering on. It was just more convenient, you know, with the project deadlines. My voice trailed off, unconvincing even to my own ears. The silence that followed was deafening. Mia's suspicion had taken root, and no amount of denial could weed it out. She began to watch me more closely, her glances lingering a little too long whenever I picked up my phone or stepped out of the room to take a call. The trust we had built over the years was crumbling, and I was powerless to stop it. Feeling cornered and isolated, Mia found solace in Ethan, a colleague of hers. Ethan, with his easy smile and listening ear, became her confidant, her escape from the growing chasm between us. Their affair, a secret dance in the shadows of our failing marriage, began shortly after. I was oblivious, caught up in my web of lies and half-truths, too consumed by my guilt to see the signs. The guilt, oh, it ate at me, a relentless, gnawing beast. Yet, I convinced myself it was Mia who had pushed me to this, her inability to trust, her constant questioning. I was the victim, or so I liked to think. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, our home became a battlefield, a constant tug of war between suspicion and denial. But it was Mia's heart that was the real casualty, torn between the love she once had for me and the new affection she found in Ethan's arms. In the end, it wasn't just about the late nights, the secret messages, or the hotel receipts. It was about us, Mia and I, and how far we had drifted from the shore of our love, caught in the currents of betrayal and regret. The emotional toll was evident, etched deep into Mia's face, a mirror of the turmoil raging inside her. And there I was, the architect of our downfall, watching helplessly as the life we had built together crumbled around us. The moment I decided to surprise Mia with breakfast in bed was the moment my world started to crumble. It was supposed to be a gesture, a bridge over the growing distance between us. Lately, I'd been trying harder, reaching out with affection in hopes of mending whatever rift had formed unseen. But as I balanced the tray in one hand, nudging our bedroom door open with the other, the sight that greeted me wasn't one of sleepy gratitude but of stark betrayal. There, on Mia's phone, illuminated against the morning dim, was a message that cut through any pretense of ignorance I might have clung to. Can't stop thinking about you, it read, signed with a heart and Ethan's name. The phone, usually guarded like a treasure, lay forgotten in her rush to the shower, a silent confession on our sheets. The confrontation was inevitable. The words spilled out, heated and sharp, a clashing of hurt and betrayal. Mia, what's this about Ethan? My voice, a mix of anger and disbelief, filled the room as she returned, wrapped in a towel, the color draining from her face. Her confession was a blow, each word a hammer to the foundations of our marriage. Yes, there had been an affair. Yes, she had feelings for him. But it was my distance, my secrets, that had driven her to it. Or so she said. We stumbled into a temporary resolution, a band-aid over a gaping wound. Counseling, we agreed, was worth a shot. Mia would end things with Ethan, and we would try to salvage the ruins of our relationship. But the seed of doubt, once planted, is a tenacious thing. Despite her assurances, despite our sessions that peeled back layers of misunderstanding and pain, the disconnect lingered. It wasn't long before Mia relapsed into Ethan's arms. I could see it, the shift in her, a lightness that wasn't for me. And Ethan, with his own designs, wasn't content to be a secret any longer. He wanted Mia, all in, pushing her towards decisions that once would have been unthinkable. The day Mia spoke of leaving, of starting anew with Ethan, was the day I realized the full extent of my naivety. There was no anger left in me, only a profound, hollowing sadness. She felt trapped, she said, caught between duty and desire, and Ethan offered a way out. As I listened, the pieces fell into place. The late-night whispers, the guarded texts, the sudden trips out of town, to clear her head, all roads led to Ethan. And Mia, my Mia, was planning to leave, to dismantle the life we had built together for a chance at happiness with another man. In that moment, I understood the bitter truth of our unraveling. Love, once unshakable, could be eroded by neglect, by secrets, by the slow accumulation of unspoken hurts. Mia had made her choice, and in doing so, unveiled the depth of our estrangement. Our marriage, once the center of my universe, was now a constellation of could-have-beens, a story of love lost to the chaos of miscommunication and unmet needs. The moment I clicked send on the email to the private investigator, my heart was pounding against my chest like it was trying to break free. It felt like crossing a point of no return. Mia's late-night whispers, the secret glances at her phone, and now, the unexplained withdrawals from our joint account. Every piece added weight to the sinking feeling in my gut. I wasn't prepared for the speed with which everything unraveled. Within days, the investigator laid bare the truth I had feared. Mia was having an affair with Ethan, and they were planning a future together, funded by our life savings. The evidence was irrefutable, a digital trail of deceit that painted a picture so cold it froze my insides. Armed with the truth, I faced Mia, the weight of betrayal hanging heavy between us. How could you? The question was a whisper, more to myself than to her. The confrontation was nothing like the explosive encounters you see in movies. It was quiet, a calm before the storm, laced with a sadness so deep it was palpable. I laid out the evidence before her, each piece a hammer to the facade she had built. The bank statements, the messages, the photos, undeniable proof of her infidelity and financial betrayal. You need to leave, I told her, my voice steady, belying the turmoil inside. Or face the consequences. It wasn't a threat. It was a resignation to the end of the life we had known. Mia's reaction was a mix of shock and realization. As the truth of Ethan's manipulation dawned on her, the layers of deceit peeled away, leaving behind a raw, vulnerable shell of the woman I once knew. Alex, her voice broke, a feeble attempt to salvage what was already lost. But it was too late. The damage was done. Mia had chosen her path, entangled in a web of lies and betrayal, and now she faced the consequences. She packed her things, a tangible symbol of the chasm that had grown between us, her departure marking the end of our shared story. In the days that followed, the emptiness of the house echoed the hollow feeling in my chest. Mia's downfall was complete. Her relationship with me, her financial security, her reputation, all sacrificed at the altar of a deceitful affair. And as for Ethan, he vanished into the shadows from whence he came, leaving Mia to face the aftermath alone. The betrayal cut deep, a wound that would take time to heal. But in the quiet that followed Mia's departure, I found a clarity. The end of our marriage was not just a loss but a liberation from a relationship that had become a lie. Mia's downfall, while tragic, was a consequence of her choices, a harsh reminder that actions bear weight, and sometimes, the price of deceit is everything. The day Mia's legal battles began was the day I truly started to see the end of the tunnel. Not in terms of vengeance or satisfaction. Those feelings had long been buried under the weight of what had transpired, but in the sense of a new beginning, for both of us, albeit on vastly different paths. The legal documents piled on my kitchen table were a stark reminder of the financial mess Mia had entangled us in. Yet, as I sifted through bank statements and legal notices, a part of me couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow for her. The Mia I had married, the woman I had loved, was now a shadow, caught in the consequences of her choices. Ethan's departure didn't come as a surprise. The moment the tide turned against Mia, he was gone, a specter evaporating at the first sign of trouble. It was cowardly, yet expected. Mia was left to face the music alone, her allies dwindling as the reality of her actions set in. The isolation that followed for Mia was palpable. Friends who we had shared dinners with, vacations, life's milestones, now crossed the street to avoid the fallout. Family, once a tight-knit circle, became distant, their disappointment a barrier too high for Mia to overcome. It was a loneliness that echoed through her life, a stark contrast to the vibrant social network that once surrounded us. In this new chapter of our lives, Mia's attempts at reconciliation were met with a cold reality. I had moved on, not out of spite but necessity. The wounds were too deep, the betrayal too personal. My focus was on rebuilding, on finding peace in the aftermath of the storm. And in that process, I found someone new, someone who understood the scars I carried and saw beyond them. For Mia, the struggle was just beginning. With her reputation tarnished and her professional life in shambles, the uphill battle was steep. The affair, and all that followed, hung over her like a cloud, affecting every aspect of her life. Job opportunities that were once plentiful now seemed out of reach, her actions a barrier to moving forward. But it was in this desolation, this period of isolation and consequence, that the true cost of our choices came to light. Not through reflection or introspection, but in the tangible, often harsh, reality of starting over. Mia, once confident and full of life, now faced the daunting task of rebuilding from the ground up, with limited support and dwindling resources. As for me, my journey was one of healing, of finding a way to forgive, if not forget. The betrayal had reshaped my understanding of trust, of love, but it hadn't broken me. With a new relationship blossoming, I looked towards the future, one where the scars of the past were reminders, not roadblocks, of the life I was determined to rebuild. The morning Mia left for the new city marked a pivotal moment, not just for her, but for me as well. Standing in the doorway of our once shared home, watching her drive away, I felt a mix of emotions, relief, sorrow, and an undercurrent of hope. Hope that Mia would find the fresh start she was so desperately seeking, and perhaps, in her journey, a path back to herself. In the weeks that followed, the silence of the house was a constant reminder of the void Mia's departure had left. But as I navigated through my own process of healing and moving forward, I couldn't help but wonder about Mia's journey in that new city, her struggles and triumphs in starting over. Mia's job search was anything but easy. The stain of our public fallout followed her like a shadow, her name synonymous with scandal in the tight-knit circles of her industry. Despite this, she pushed on, her resilience a testament to the woman I once knew. The offers that came were far from the prestigious positions she was accustomed to, a stark reminder of how far she had fallen. Adjusting to a more modest lifestyle was another hurdle. Gone were the days of impromptu getaways and lavish dinners. In their place, a budget that barely covered the essentials, each dollar a reminder of the financial security she had sacrificed. Building a new social circle was perhaps Mia's greatest challenge. The betrayal and deceit that had marred our marriage left her wary of new connections. Trust, once given so freely, was now a fortress she guarded zealously, allowing few to breach its walls. But it was her health that took the greatest toll. The stress of the past year, compounded by the challenges of her new life, manifested in sleepless nights and a constant battle with anxiety. The decision to seek medical help was a difficult one, admitting vulnerability in a way she never had before. Yet, it was a necessary step towards healing, both physically and emotionally. The conclusion of the legal battles brought a semblance of closure, though the victory was bittersweet. The financial support awarded was a fraction of what she had hoped for, a meager lifeline in her efforts to rebuild from the ruins of our marriage. In her moments of solitude, Mia reached out to old friends and estranged family members, her attempts at reconciliation met with varying degrees of acceptance. Some doors opened, while others remained firmly closed, the damage too deep to repair. Through it all, Mia's journey was a testament to the human capacity for resilience. The path to redemption was fraught with obstacles, each one a lesson in humility and strength. And as she navigated this new chapter of her life, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in the woman she was becoming. A woman determined to rise from the ashes of her past, forging a future defined not by her mistakes, but by her unwavering resolve to move forward. The day I bumped into Mia at the downtown market, the air was crisp, a prelude to the coming fall. It was an ordinary Saturday, filled with the mundane task of grocery shopping with my new partner, Sarah. Our life together had become a comforting routine, a stark contrast to the tumultuous final years with Mia. As we turned the corner past the organic produce, there she was. Mia. The shock of seeing her was like a jolt of electricity, halting me in my tracks. She looked different, older, perhaps, or maybe it was the weight of her experiences that etched new lines on her face. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment, time stood still. The encounter was brief, laden with unspoken words and heavy with the weight of our past. Mia's attempt at small talk felt strained, her voice a soft echo of the woman I once knew. Sarah, sensing the tension, remained politely distant, a silent support by my side. My responses were curt, not out of spite, but from a deep-seated need to protect the peace I had fought so hard to find. Mia's presence, once a source of comfort, now felt like an intrusion into the life I had painstakingly rebuilt. The realization hit Mia hard. The indifference in my voice, the casual way I introduced Sarah, it all underscored the irrevocable change in our relationship. We were strangers, bound only by the memories of a life that no longer existed. As Mia walked away, a part of me wanted to call out, to bridge the gap with words left unsaid. But I remained silent, knowing some distances were too vast to cross. The encounter was a stark reminder of the choices we had made, of the love we had lost, and the separate paths we now walked. In the weeks that followed, I heard snippets of Mia's life through mutual acquaintances. She had found a job, modest but fulfilling, a step towards the self-sufficiency she had struggled to find. New hobbies and interests filled her days, a testament to her resilience and determination to carve out a semblance of happiness in her new reality. Gradually, Mia began to accept her circumstances, embracing personal growth over regret. Her journey was a solitary one, marked by small victories and inevitable setbacks. But it was hers alone, a path she navigated with quiet strength and dignity. The finality of our separation became undeniable, a closed chapter in the book of our lives. Mia's reflection on our shared past, on the home we had built together, was a poignant reminder of what had been lost. But it was also a testament to the enduring power of love, a love that, despite its end, had once been the center of our world. As I watched Mia disappear into the crowd, a sense of closure enveloped me. Our story had ended, not with the bitterness of regret, but with the acceptance of life's impermanent nature. Mia's journey, like mine, was a search for peace, a peace we both had finally found, albeit on separate shores. The sun was just setting, casting a golden glow over the city as I walked home from work, the streets bustling with the usual evening crowd. It's in these quiet moments, amidst the chaos of daily life, that my thoughts drift back to Mia. Not with anger or regret, but with a reflective calm that time has granted me. Mia's journey, from the unraveling of our marriage to her solitary path towards self-discovery, had been fraught with hardship and introspection. It hadn't led to redemption in the traditional sense. There was no grand gesture or moment of forgiveness that magically erased the past. Instead, it brought her face to face with the stark reality of her choices and their irreversible impact on both our lives. Through it all, Mia learned, perhaps the hardest way possible, about the importance of integrity in relationships. The absence of honesty, the foundation upon which trust is built, had led to the unraveling of not just our marriage, but of her very sense of self. It was a lesson learned in the aftermath of loss, a painful reminder of the value of truth and transparency. Determined to start anew, Mia channeled her experiences into building a life marked by the lessons she had learned. There was no going back to the way things were, no undoing the damage wrought by deception and betrayal. Instead, she focused on moving forward, on creating a future that was authentically hers, unencumbered by the need for external validation. Her pursuit of happiness shifted from seeking approval and affection from others to finding a sense of inner peace and contentment. It was a journey inward, a quest for self-acceptance that transcended the external circumstances of her life. As I turned the key in my door, stepping into the warm, inviting space I now shared with Sarah, I couldn't help but reflect on Mia's story. It had become a cautionary tale, not just for me, but for anyone willing to listen. A tale of choices and consequences, of the complexity of human relationships, and the profound impact our actions have on the lives of those we love. In the end, Mia's story served as a somber reflection, a reminder of the fragility of trust and the enduring importance of integrity and honesty in our relationships. It underscored the truth that happiness, true happiness, comes not from the approval of others, but from the peace and acceptance we find within ourselves. As the night settled in, casting shadows across the room, I realized that while Mia's journey had been hers alone, the lessons it imparted were universal. In the complex tapestry of human relationships, integrity and honesty are the threads that hold us together, guiding us through the challenges and leading us, ultimately, to a place of understanding and